And now, it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your day. What's going on, Ben?
Doing well.
Good.
Just excited for another Big 12 Power Poll coming up today at 11 o'clock.
Sure. Yeah, there's a race for the top and the bottom.
Sure. Not that the bottom benefits you at all.
You don't get the first pick?
No pick. You lose picks. You lose recruits. Even though I don't know if that's actually entirely accurate either. Sure, you probably have a couple of kids who maybe waffle a little bit when you're the worst team, but kids just want money. I think the kids are just going where the money is.
Is it just me, or do you think Armpit's going to a wedding or something after the show? Because he's not only got sleeves, but also a collar.
Yeah, it's got a collar on.
I mean, that's got to be wedding or funeral, right?
Probably he's probably officiating it, right?
Or like a black tie affair?
He looks good.
Sorry, Ben. How you doing? Your day start all right? How's your sprinkler problem?
I punted on it till spring.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I don't have to. There's nothing I can do about it, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
The ground is frozen again. Doesn't bother me.
Christian, you good?
Doing great, yeah. Hosting the in-laws. They flew in or drove here from Las Vegas, so hosting them at our new house. We're going to have them over for Thanksgiving.
But that's exciting. And you have a good relationship with your in-laws. You hung out with your father-in-law in Toronto. All right.
You're saying that because they're listening?
Just in case.
Yeah.
I doubt they're listening, but you never know. Yeah.
No, you're not palling around another city with your father-in-law if you don't at least get along. You know what I mean? Like, if you didn't get along, Christian would be faking an illness or something. You're like, I can't get, But he went out and he said he had a good time, so I'm sure he's got a great relationship. How about your wife and your parents?
Yeah, we all get along, yeah, so far.
All right.
I mean, we've only been married like a year, so things can change. But
How long did you date before?
Like 4 years.
How long did it take until you met her parents?
Couple months, I think maybe 3 or 4.
Time.
Yeah, we've known them a while.
They're not going to spring any weirdo stuff on you. Ben,
you never know.
You've got future in-laws. You guys are pretty chill, yeah?
Yeah, we're cool. I'm going up there on Thanksgiving, so.
You know what I always appreciated about my father-in-law? Fine cook.
Yeah, good cook?
Yeah,
okay.
Really, really good cook. Into food and nutrition and stuff like that. But like Persian food, Mediterranean food, I love.
Okay.
And he liked it. He thought he got a kick out of it, or he gets a kick out of it, I should say, that I like lamb. It's like my favorite food. And so he would order for me at restaurants.
Oh, nice.
Like we'd go to these Persian restaurants and he'd be like, my son-in-law will have the lamb shake. That's awesome, though. That's great, Christian. You know what? There's something cool about having your own spot where you can host a family for Thanksgiving. Does that mean you're cooking the turkey?
No, my dad is handling the turkey.
Oh, that's good.
I will be doing mac and cheese.
Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I would say low importance level of the dish, which is a good thing.
Right.
Because that means you could try to hit a home run.
Also, if you mess up macaroni and cheese, come on. And I know you're probably not doing craft, but you're baking a mac and cheese.
Yeah. Swing for the fences, and if you strike out,
then whatever.
Not that big of a deal.
It's not like you screwed up the turkey. You know what I mean?
But really an easy dish.
Hilarious if Christian came out with a big old bowl of Kraft. Be like, I used 6 boxes. This is going to be...
So what everyone said, you wanted mac and cheese. This is easy
I
mac.
love it.
So I've got to do
what
each.
You meant. Oh, okay.
I got Paw Patrol Easy Mac. I have to microwave 15 of these things to get it in one big bowl. And they each take 3.5 minutes. So I'm going to need about an hour with the microwave alone to get all of these done.
Do you cook for Thanksgiving, Ben?
I don't have any responsibilities really this year. No, we're going to make a dip, and she's going to bake some bread, and I think we might throw a salad or something together. But no, because we're driving up to Ogden, I don't have to make a bird or anything. But I have a smoker. I've smoked a turkey. I've done bigger dishes. I like to make a cranberry relish, but I probably won't do that either.
I tackled gravy for the first time last year and was pretty stoked by the result.
Powdered gravy?
No.
Okay.
The real thing.
Okay.
And I feel like my mother has a pretty good standard when it comes to gravy because hers is pretty good. And she gave me the thumbs up, so I was pretty stoked.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say the Scott family secrets for gravy.
Oh, I don't know if there's much secret to it, other than it's a tricky thing to get right.
Okay.
Like the consistency and the flavor and all that. I can't believe you're not giving me more respect for doing the gravy. That's a guy who's never done gravy right there.
I probably haven't done gravy, but again, it's a sauce. It's like macaroni and cheese. It's like the cranberry relish. It's just not hard.
Oh, that is so false. And the gravy is the glue to the Thanksgiving dinner.
It is. You smother it over everything to hide the poor flavor of most other food that exists on the plate.
Oh, that's incorrect too. I like the flavor of turkey.
No, you don't.
Excuse me?
Yeah, you don't. Nobody does. It's never cooked well. It doesn't taste good. There's a reason we don't eat it any other time of year. We do it for the holiday. Nobody makes a huge turkey any other point in the year because turkey is inarguably the worst meat that there is.
I disagree with that. I like Thanksgiving turkey.
I like Thanksgiving turkey as well as part of the holiday.
Oh, no. I like it in general. And we have turkey sandwiches all the time. What are you talking about? Now,
you don't roast a big turkey and carve off a turkey to make turkey sandwiches.
But I've roasted several turkeys over the holiday to make sure that I had turkey in the fridge
for the holiday.
To make turkey
for the
sandwich.
holiday.
Well, it's the only time my buddy was busting out the fryer.
Okay. Even then,
that's not my fault. I don't have the frying equipment.
See, that's the point. Is like we have to fry them, or you have to smoke it, or you have to baste it in your fridge over. Like you have to do so many things to make this awful bird taste good. And really, the secret is what you're saying. Just douse it in gravy, and it's fine. It's dry. It's not as dry if it's got gravy, which is what, just turkey fat.
I like turkey as much as I like chicken, if not more.
A little starch, more than chicken. No, come on. No one sells a spicy turkey sandwich. You can't go to Popeyes. Nobody has a turkey-based restaurant because turkey's crap.
Listen, turkey, bacon, and avocado sandwich is amazing.
Not turkey bacon.
I made that mistake. I made that mistake once.
And I actually don't mind turkey bacon. I don't mind it. Yeah,
no, turkey bacon is gross. I'll jump on board with you there. As somebody who has to deal with turkey bacon a lot, I'm not a fan.
Okay.
And by the way, I'm pretty proud neither of my children, so that's nice because they're on board the regular bacon train. Okay. I cooked bacon on Sunday. My house still smells like it, which is amazing. All right. What do you want to do, Ben? Do you want to talk about seeing the Spurs for the fourth time? We want to talk about if Witt's going to retire because that seems to be the topic of the day.
Yeah, I guess one of the things we haven't talked about, and I don't, this isn't leading to a huge conversation that I've just been thinking is, what does Utah do at defensive coordinator if Morgan takes over?
Oh, who cares? He'll rule the regime like Witt has over the years.
But Witt has had some really good defensive coordinators. Witt's had some guys who've done a really good job. Gary did a great job. Kalani obviously did a fantastic job. Morgan has done a terrific job. So it's not a nothing job, and it has an opportunity to lead to a big-time recruiter or, an identity setter, which I think will probably change slightly. I mean, I think Morgan will have things he wants to do differently than Witt if Witt retires.
Well, the question is like what? And I would guess, I mean, we've seen regimes change and coaches want to do things differently or shake certain things up. I would guess the philosophy, though, does not change all that much with Morgan, which means I don't care who their defensive coordinator is because they're going to be set up for success. So if you pick a good guy, that defensive coordinator is going to be there as long as they want, and they're probably going to look pretty good if they fall in line. And I'm not trying to discount any of those people that you just said because you have to hire the right person. I'm not trying to say that we could throw Lloyd in there and that all of a sudden they're going to, be leading the Big 12 in defense. But I think the harder thing is who do you pick for offensive coordinator?
Sure.
Because, I mean, somebody's going to have to take the blame with a smile on their face Or not, I guess. I don't know. Like, what is his offensive philosophy going to be?
Do you think Utah
That's way more
fans
relevant.
are setting themselves up for disappointment if they expect anything different on offense when Morgan Scalley takes over, whether it's this year, next, or whenever?
Well, I think most Ute fans are wrong. So probably if Morgan does what I think he should do, but I have no idea. I mean, I do know that he's probably sat there as DC now for how long? And if you don't think he's thought about what he would do offensively, certainly recently, yeah, you're crazy. He's going to come in with a plan. Now, I don't know what that plan's going to be. I would guess it would be different than Witt because that's like where you can, in the policy, like you're on the same team, you're his protege, the whole thing,
Sure.
But where your policy can break from the stand is offense. So how does it break with what Coach Witt has done over the years? I think that's the ultimate question. I think that's really fascinating. Right decision, wrong decision, we'll see. But I'm sure he's thought about that.
I think my question becomes, how often do you see anyone actually reinvent the wheel? Like,
Well,
if you're going in to a Morgan Scalley-led University of Utah team, he may even think he can do things differently. What he's not going to change is how he runs his defense. And like we said, if you always have this offense because you have this defense, why would it change with Morgan Scalley? And I think that's what I am set up for and expecting is if Utah fans are expecting to maybe start getting better quarterbacks or have quarterbacks open up their game a little bit or play differently, I think that's crazy.
Okay, I think you, much like Jurassic Park, I think you're asking the wrong question.
Okay. Jurassic Park slander.
Not can they,
But should they?
should they?
Okay.
I think that's which is basically what you're asking. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make a Jurassic Park joke.
'Tis the season, or I don't know.
Listen,
A lot of birds.
at the very beginning of my career, one of the big stories I covered, Ben, was the transition from Lavelle Edwards to Gary Croton.
How old are you?
I came I think my first year covering the scene, employed doing the whole thing
Yeah.
was Gary Croton's second year.
Okay.
So I didn't catch
The full transition.
the full transition, but
Yeah.
I came in as Croton is coming off this great year with Brandon Doman, and where's it going to go? Now, the reason I bring it up is because Gary wanted to do everything different than Lavelle. They brought him in as a shakeup, right?
Right.
Or else they would have kept Norm Chow for an extra year and just hired Norm Chow.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. They fired Norm Chow before Lavelle retired, and then it kind of marked that they were going in a totally different direction. They hired the offensive coordinator for the Bears, Ben, the offensive genius, who steps in and says, "You guys are doing it all wrong." And what happened to the program?
It didn't crumble, but it was in bad shape.
So BYU asked themselves, should we go in a different direction? Their answer was yes. Their answer probably should have been no. And not that Bronco was any sort of carbon copy of Lavelle by any means. In fact, they were really, really different.
Mm-hmm.
But Bronco definitely took a step back toward the traditional, if that makes any sense. A traditional in the BYU sense. And had more success, certainly. A lot more than Gary Croton. Chris Hill replaced Rick Majerus. Ben, Chris Hill had to ask himself, the good doctor, should I change things up? His answer?
Yes.
Big time.
Yeah.
Ray Giacoletti in personality, in style, in everything, could not have been more different than Rick Majerus. Did it work?
No, it didn't. I mean, ultimately, you can say, "Oh, they fired him too early," whatever. It just didn't work. You fired him.
Right. You're right about that. I do think it could have worked, but you are right. It did not. So they should have, they should have maybe stay. I don't know how you stay with Rick Majerus.
Sure, no.
but he went with a big time shakeup. So if you are going heir apparent to Morgan Scalley, my guess is that Harlan asked himself, should I change things up? And the answer is actually probably no. So that begs the question then, how much do you shake up and what do you shake up?
Yeah. I've told you about my favorite episode in the show The Office. And not my favorite episode, my favorite scene. It's not my favorite episode. In fact, I don't really like the episode. But the scene I love, and it's very poignant, and I go back to it all the time. And it's the Survivor man. Michael goes out to film himself becoming a wilderness survival person based on Bear Grylls, etc.
That's a funny episode.
It's a fine episode. While Michael's gone, Jim takes over the office. And Jim, having sat back, watched Michael make all these mistakes, says, I can fix this office in a day. I'm going to implement all these different things. And when I implement all these things, everyone's going to be happy. He tries to do all of the birthdays in one day for the entire month instead of everyone getting their own separate day. And everyone wants this cake or this cake or this cake, and it's all different. No one can agree. And the changes he makes are poorly handled, poorly received. Michael comes back from his wilderness exhibition or whatever, comes back. He's talking to Jim. Jim says, I'm glad you're back. He says, I tried to do all these things. And Michael says, oh, yeah, I tried to do all those things too. And they all failed. Meaning, the reason Utah does things this way is it's on purpose.
It works.
It's not that Whit hasn't tried to do other things. It's not that he hasn't thought of doing other things. He has tested them and they have failed. And he says, you know what works? Exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
To preserve what I want to preserve, which is the defense, certain things you have to be willing to give up on offense. I just don't think Whit is some idiot who has no idea how to get offense moving or can't recruit a quarterback or doesn't know. Does it mean he's perfect? Of course it doesn't mean he's perfect. No coach is. But I would give him a little bit more credence that the decisions he's made on the offense are actually probably more often right than wrong. And behind the scenes, we haven't seen how miserably they failed, even if sometimes they fail on the field.
I get it. I'm trying to think how to fit into this analogy, though. But that doesn't mean that spending $10,000 a year on birthday parties is a good idea.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that that's perfect either. And I would say you can go back through Whit's career, and the flaw that you can point out is he has not found a solution offensively. Now, I would argue that he did find a solution offensively, and that's when he hired Norm Chow. But that only lasted a year because Norm left, and then Whit went off the rails with the offensive coordinator thing. Whit couldn't find a coach, couldn't find an offense, couldn't find a quarterback. Remember the A-Rod Schramm to Brian Johnson to Dave Christensen to who? Like that specific period.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the Dave Christensen, Troy Taylor audio?
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite. If we could ever unearth that, that's pretty amazing. Go do your press conference, Flyboy.
Flyboy, yeah.
That was not perfect.
No, I mean,
and to your point, you're talking about trying different things and trying different solutions, and Troy Taylor, and you go back to Andy Ludwig because he was the least bad of them all, and had some success with it. But I think Morgan could find a groove off a better offense that would fit with the defensive philosophy. How's that?
If that's going to work,
I don't think they've found a good fit offensively to the defense.
If he does that, you're going to see a lesser defense at Utah, and you will see people asking,
but
this
you're
Morgan
assuming,
defense is not as good as it was under
Whit. You're
Whit.
assuming something, though. You're assuming that I'm talking about spread it out, throw it all around offense, which I don't think is the answer. This is where Ute fans are wrong. Spreading it out and slinging it and looking like Jordan Love's Utah State team of a few years ago and scoring 90 points a game, that's not the good fit to the defense. That's where they're wrong. That's not what I'm talking about.
I'm with you, but I think you're talking about fewer, 80-yard rushing games, holding the opposing team to 80-yard rushing games. I think you are going to have to, if you want to open up the offense a little bit more, you are going to have to give something else on defense.
You used the word open. I'm talking about closing. I'm talking about fewer 20-attempt pass games. I'm talking about you find the biggest, baddest tailback you've ever seen in your life and then dial it back to the 1985 Bears. That's what I'm talking about. Find a serviceable quarterback that can function in the play action and throw 15 times a game, and you hold the ball for 45 minutes, and your defense holds everybody to 6 points because they're only on the field for a hot second, and they're dominating the whole time. That's what I'm talking about. Find an offense that complements the defense. I don't want to hear the word open ever again. Witt's been trying to open it for his whole career.
This goes
and he
exactly
won't
back
let
to
it
my
happen.
point, though, which is, again, we like to think when I talk about the mistakes Witt has made that he has corrected to get to where he is today. It's not just I'm going to run this wild West Coast offense and open everything up and spread everything out. No, not that at all. He has tried that also. He has tried, what if we only run it? What if we don't ask our quarterback to throw? And he has realized that doesn't work either.
But the way they're running it is this zone read crap. Because
really like the zone read.
he's convinced that the dual threat is the hardest thing to stop, and it's not an effective offense. It can be an exciting offense the way Urban Meyer used it, but that doesn't fit with Witt's philosophy. And you know what? It doesn't fit with Utah's recruiting, and now the offensive line has this weird zone blocking thing where they're not really effective. You can talk about all the draft picks if you want, and it's not all that effective in the run game because it's relying on this weird. It's created out of this combo. It's basically the triple option. I mean, it doesn't fit. It fits with other programs. It fits with Ohio State. I think if you're going to have this Whittingham philosophy, I think you need to find a better offense that fits. I've told you, no West Coast. I'd hire Jim Harbaugh's protege. That's who I'd hire. I'd go Big Ten. You want to be a Big Ten school? Start running a Big Ten offense because that really fits with the Whittingham defense because they hold the ball the whole time.
And even then,
get 2 tight ends on the field the whole time.
sure, and you can do that.
And just run over teams.
Even then, Michigan won once they had a good first-round pick at quarterback.
Yeah, but he stinks. Just don't give me that first-round pick.
He
doubt
got hurt like day one.
Yeah,
so we don't know.
He's not going to make it. He's not going to be good.
We don't
He's
know if
one of
that's
those
the case at all.
first-round whiffs because Jim Harbaugh said he was the greatest quarterback he's ever seen because that's what coaches are supposed to do for their players going to the next level. And the Vikings are like, get me that quarterback.
We need him.
So that's what I would do, Ben. I'm not talking about opening anything up.
You want it left. You want to batten it down.
Yeah. Hey, be the zig to the Big 12 zag. You know, honestly, like if the Big 12 is going to be opening it up and scoring 60 points, be the team that just shuts everybody down and then runs over them.
If that would work, don't you think Witt would have defaulted to that so long ago?
I don't know why he didn't.
If it would have worked, I think Witt would have leaned into that more heavily and comfortably than anybody on the planet. Certainly anybody in college football, and he didn't do it. And again, I think it's because he's smart enough to recognize it doesn't work.
Maybe, sure. I mean, he's certainly smarter than me. I'm not trying to say that I know it all. I think it did work. I think it worked for the year under Norm Chow. I would take every quarterback on Utah's roster right now over John Hayes. And John White IV, let's not pretend that he was Jerome Bettis. He was a slight JC running back, Ben, that ran roughshod over the Big 12. Because, again, or Pac-12. Yeah. I come back to what Lavelle Edwards told me himself. He said that was the best coaching job of Norm's career. It worked. They were completely overmatched that year, and they finished, well, they almost darn near won the division if it weren't for choking against Colorado.
And if USC wasn't dealing with suspensions and violations, all kinds of things.
Yeah,
there was a lot of reasons
they would have backed their way in, but you could not call it an unsuccessful season. Then they went and beat Georgia Tech in the Sun Bowl.
They did.
If memory serves.
They did.
And then Norm leaves and they go in the tank for 2 years. And they haven't figured, I mean, I don't know. I think Cam Rising has been successful at Utah, not because that Utah found a really good system and a really good quarterback. I think he's a baller. And he's good enough at the stuff to carve up a USC defense with the help of Dalton Kincaid when it comes right down to it, because he's a baller. Brian Johnson, and we always compare him, but that dude was a baller.
Yeah.
You know, I think you can get guys like that at Utah, guys that are winners and guys that are ballers. But you know what also you can get at Utah is everybody from Zach Moss to Juan Johnson. I mean, these just great tailbacks. You can get offensive linemen. You know what? You can't get quarterbacks and receivers. I don't know. Quit trying to make the receiver the quarterback and lean into the tailback thing. I don't get it. Zach Moss ran for all those yards at Utah in spite of the system, not because of it. I would argue.
Okay.
And mainly, I just listened to our mutual friend Kyle Gunther, who's been advocating this sort of thing for ever since I knew him. And he's totally right. Utah should be running a pro-style run it up your face offense. I agree with him.
I think those quarterbacks are harder to find now than ever before.
But I would bet you that Morgan goes the other direction.
Of course.
And that will diminish the defense.
And then
that
I think
will
he will
lead to
course correct.
speculation. And,
I think he course corrects
in the same way. I know that's your theory.
Because it's going to look a lot like Whit.
I think he could go another way. I think he should go another way. But not the way everybody says.
But, yeah.
But
not open it up.
Don't hire Cliff Kingsbury. No. Hire Mike Ditka. Is he around still?
He is. I think so.
All right. Stay tuned. Top 3 stories coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, bro. You hear us every day with our crazy opinions.
Hey, what you doing?
Well, now it's time to hear from you.
Hey, great show.
Download the KSL Sports app and fire off your thoughts with the call-in tab on the bottom of your screen.
Your show is fantastic. It's the one that captivates me the most.
You can tell PK to stop singing.
Cheap bangs! Cheap bangs!
Let Jake and Ben know what you really think of the Jazz. Tell Hans and Scotty about your favorite barbecue spot or what color of tie JJ should be wearing on TV. The best entries will be played on the air. Download the KSL Sports app now and hit the call-in button to let your voice be heard.
I think you guys do an incredible job.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Want to remind you, this is Jake and Ben. Want to remind you to nominate the sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. Big 12 power poll coming up at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. Excited about it. Pretty thrilled.
Got to tally up the scores. But we're getting close. I can't believe there's only one game left for Utah this year. College football season, I don't know if it necessarily went fast. It wasn't particularly enjoyable, I think, if you were a Utah fan. But it is gone, and it's gone for a long time.
I couldn't rank Colorado low enough.
Okay.
I had to move them down into the teens.
Okay.
Top 3 stories of the day, sponsored by J. Brooks Jewelers. 2 locations to serve you, one on Winchester Street across from Fashion Place Mall, the other at Traverse Mountain in Lehigh. All right, Christian, where are we starting today?
Number 1, the Jazz have assigned Cody Williams to the Salt Lake Stars ahead of their weekly Spurs matchup.
Hey, good news for JP
Does seem
Chunga.
weekly. Yeah, what's the deal?
Our guy John Paul
Yeah, voice of the Stars.
gets to call some Cody Williams. Ben, let's start there, and then we can talk about the 4th game against the Spurs. My Lanta, I'm so tired of the Spurs.
Yeah.
What do you think? Your first takeaway?
Very pro. He needed it. He's got to go play down there. Let him take 15 shots. Teach him he has to take 15 shots. He was timid at Colorado. He's played a little timidly, I think, in the NBA so far. So put him in a spot where he has to take a bunch of shots and guys are going to defer to him at times instead of him deferring to everybody. I think that's a positive. With Jordan Clarkson out tonight, I suspect we're going to see more Bryce Sensabaugh, which I'm also curious to see. He was really good 2 games ago against the Spurs on Thursday. And with Cody out and Jordan Clarkson out, the Jazz just depth-wise probably have to play him. And if they don't, I think they're sending a message to him. But I suspect they're going to play him. I think he played well. I think they certainly like the way that Johnny Juzang is playing, and those guys are going to get a lot of those 2 and 3 minutes kind of as backups.
I think this is the second best thing that they can do for him.
Okay. Who? Cody or Bryce?
Cody.
Cody.
The first would be to send him on an LDS mission to Price.
Sure. Beef up.
I'm just thinking Price because that screams home cooking to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I just feel like the good members down there could really pile on the calories.
Okay.
Again, this comes out my experience with my own friends in my own life. The ones that went overseas came back rail thin.
Yeah.
The ones that went stateside came back the opposite of rail thin.
Yeah, right.
Send him to Price because that's not that far away, but I feel like there's some good home cooking. Joking, of course. He should be with the G League. He can go work on his stuff. He can't work on his stuff in the NBA.
No, he can't make mistakes, and he can't, the Jazz probably tell him he can, and I don't know if he trusts that he can.
I think that's part of it. I think physically he can't.
Yeah.
And G League, he's still going to be playing against pros. I mean, adults, and I think that's a good thing. But I think he could actually work on his game without getting blown off his spots no matter what, or run over on defense no matter what. You can actually get out there and work on it, which is exactly what he needs.
And I'm not worried about, field goal percentage in the G League. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
No. Take shots, miss shots, whatever. But yes, he will physically be more capable of competing day one. He just isn't in the NBA. He just isn't physically capable of competing, which I'm surprised by a little bit, but he is extraordinarily thin.
It's not his fault.
Yeah.
And he just needs more time, and you didn't draft him because you wanted him to be good right away. Anyway.
Right. It's not a panic thing.
No. And Woj is going to give him, here's 4 shots I want you to take.
Yeah.
And I want you to take 20 of them. So don't be bashful. Get out there. But these are the 4 that you need to take.
Yeah.
All night, right here. And then he does that, and he practices, and he comes back with confidence. And maybe it's not this year that confidence actually blossoms, but it's all of a sudden you put it in, and you're going against pros who are adults, and you can actually get some work done. I think the slander of players, young players that go down to the G League is way outdated. And maybe slander is a little strong, but he's going to the G League. I mean, he must be just terrible.
Yeah.
Is outdated. That is an outdated take. That might have been true in 2008. But today in 2024, where like 60% of the league at some point plays in the G League, that's a way outdated take.
And the G League used to stink, and it doesn't stink anymore. It's really well organized. The players are good. It's way better coached than it used to be. So, yeah, this is a good move for him.
Even if it stinks, because I don't think it's as good as Europe per se.
No, it's not.
It's not the point. The point isn't to have this highly competitive league. Even the Jazz would tell you that. The point is to get work for these guys and discover talent along the way.
And look, it was good for Johnny Juzang. I think there were early signs that it was good for Taylor Hendricks. And I think it was probably good for Bryce Sensabaugh too. But I think Bryce is going to get more minutes tonight. That's one thing I'm watching.
Wemby's going to play tonight. Clarkson is not.
No Clarkson. No Filipowski.
Well, Wemby's something to watch.
Absolutely.
He didn't play last game.
And it's a cup game.
Oh, so you get the wacky floor.
The new court. Yeah.
All right. What's next?
For the last time.
Number 2, the Big 12 fined Arizona State for storming the field against BYU.
$25,000. Not enough to deter anyone from ever doing it again.
Not even close to enough.
Yeah, right. This is they should have paid him $25,000.
And it needs to be something more public, like they demo one of their buildings or something.
I mean, to the point, Mark Harlan paid $15,000 more for jumping on the microphone after Utah's loss than Arizona State did for storming the field and delaying the game by 20 minutes.
Mark Harlan, in a way, almost disrupted the game, kind of like the Arizona State fans. There's actually some parallels there. But, yeah, if you interrupt the game like that, come on. Get better control of yourself. Get it together. I think that if there was ever a get-it-together moment, it's going on with ASU right now. Like, you got a good team. You got stuff in front of you. God, get it together. Tell your fans to get it together. Tell your coach to get it together. Good heavens, get it together.
I did love Kalani's reaction to it, though. He just said, what, am I going to be mad at the fans? They beat a ranked team. They're ranked. We're ranked. They beat us. They're excited. How am I going to get mad at that? I love that.
I'm so glad you said that because I could not agree more. In the day and age of people boobing about everything. Yeah. Here's Coach Satake that could boob about several things.
Absolutely.
And he's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. We're focused on our team. I love that. It shows me it's like, oh, it's an adult.
He also argued his point. He said, yeah, of course I hoped we had one more second. We had another shot. I want to win this game. Like, he's rooting for himself. He was happy with not the outcome of the game, but the outcome of the review, but also understood the joy on the other side. He's not trying to make it not fun for anybody, which we have lost some of the fun aspect of it.
Again, I wish he would have beat up a fan, but for him to behave like a mature adult is totally refreshing. Good for you, Coach. All right.
Number 3, Kyle Whittingham wants the program to come first when it comes to the decision about his future.
We'll, obviously evaluate after the season's over, see what the situation is, but my decision will be made on what's best for the program, not what's best for me. So it'll be completely determined on how I feel this program is best served going forward. So yeah, that's where that is.
Okay, Ben, you can take that sentence one of two ways. That's either the precursor for a letter of resignation, Because we've heard that best for the program in a lot of letters of resignation or retirement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's either a precursor for that justification or that's coach laying the groundwork for his return because the program isn't quite ready
can't survive without
to
him.
be turned over. Which, by the way, it would not be the first time Whit had Morgan hang on for an extra year because he thought the situation wasn't right. Remember when Kalani left to go to Oregon State and they hired John Pease to come in for a year because Whit thought Morgan needed that extra year and maybe another voice in Coach Pease or whatever to be the most effective coordinator he could be. So it's not like it would be unprecedented, in my opinion. But you can read that statement either way. That's either, well, I'm going to eventually step down for what's best for the program because it's best to move on to the next generation and on and on and on. Or it could be, it's best for the program for me to stick around and right the ship for a year so I can hand it off to Morgan in good shape.
What do you think is the best for the program? I'll tell you, I think it's Whit sticking around.
I think Whit's a great coach. So to usher a great coach out the door could be a mistake. But with that said, like I've said a million times, a lot of these legendary coaches go out with very average football teams. And like Florida State hung on to Bobby Bowden for several years into average. Frank Beamer did the same thing in Virginia Tech. Like all these, would it have been better if they would have cut ties with Bobby Bowden 2 years earlier? I don't know.
Yeah. North Carolina's doing it right now, right?
With Mac Brown.
They're firing Mac Brown. He had to basically offer his resignation today while knowing he's still going to coach this weekend.
I am not putting Mac Brown in the same conversation as Kyle Whittingham.
Mac Brown's a very good coach.
Fine, but even his most legendary coaching was not even at North Carolina.
Right,
so
right.
I don't know how comparable that is. Honestly.
I think it's more likely Utah rights the ship next year under Whit than it is Morgan. But I don't know if necessarily that means 2 or 3 years from now they benefit from it. Like, does that make Morgan a better coach 2 years from now when he does take over than this year? I don't know.
I don't know either. But it sounds to me like they're going down the road of we're going to try and flip this thing really quick next year, and that's a pretty tall task. So if it were me, I certainly wouldn't want to do that work. Bringing in how many transfers did he basically say yesterday? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, 10 to 15.
Sounds like a lot.
Yep, it is.
And honestly, I wouldn't blame any old-timer, no offense, Coach Whit, who doesn't want to deal with the new.
Yeah, he may be done too.
The new thing.
Yep.
Randy Ray is, last I heard, because Coach Lacombe talks to him, he's playing 3 rounds of golf a day in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Loving every second of it.
And look, if Whit wants to hang around in some fashion and be useful, he can.
Oh, he's already got it built into his deal.
Yeah, right. He has to hang around as an ambassador of some type. I think they would let him do whatever he wants, as much as he wants.
Or as little.
Head coaching. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We'll have more coming up next.
Jazz tickets.
Oh, we want to give them away right now? All right. Jazz Ticket Tuesday. Caller number 12, 801-575-ZONE. A pair of tickets to go see the Jazz and the Mavericks on Saturday, November 30th. Tickets will be sent electronically via SeatGeek. Caller number 12, 801-575-ZONE. More next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present?
This is JJ and Alex.
The only place I like to drink ginger ale is on an airplane.
Isn't that the truth?
Give me the ginger ale.
For some reason on a plane, it's like, ooh, ginger ale sounds great now.
Give me a ginger ale. Also, when you come back through, could you give me the Bloody Mary mix? Not a Bloody Mary. Give me the mix.
What do you do with the mix?
You just drink it because it's basically like spicy V8.
Oh.
I want to talk to a stranger with bad breath on the plane.
I don't have time to dive into why you like spicy V8.
I'm telling you, because it's
something's wrong
low
with
in
you.
Sodium.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
1, 2, 3, move it.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Want to remind you about Peach Doors and Windows. Amazing home transformations begin with Peach. where 5-star reviews are the norm. Call them today for your free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255, Peach Doors and Windows. Also, Win Ticket Wednesday, your chance to win big every week on the station. Coming up tomorrow, you could win a family 5-pack of tickets to go see the Jazz take on the Lakers on Sunday, December 1st. Listen all day on Wednesday for your chance to win. Ben, you're a beat guy. Most beat guys, I think, pretend that they're basically Magnum PI, private investigators.
Okay, yeah.
And you brought up something yesterday. We were talking about the video that was released of Tyler Batty trying to motivate his team at halftime.
Yep.
And you brought it up. You said, I wonder if it was an ASU guy or a BYU guy or who took that video.
And my theory was it had to be an ASU person because a BYU person would be recognized immediately.
Now, Magnum, we have now Thomas.
Okay.
So wasn't that his name, Thomas Magnum? Now, Thomas, we have some new evidence. Now, it's eyewitness, kind of testimony. Probably not eyewitness, but we have some testimony anyway. Connor Pay, at the press conference yesterday, had this to say.
Well, it made me want to run through a wall again at around 11:30 last night when I heard it again on my TikTok. Obviously, not super appropriate, I don't think, to have, an employee of the school you're at, take a video of a private team moment like that. But at the end of the day, honestly, we don't care that much.
I guess we need to clarify when he says the school you're at, he doesn't mean the school he's at. He means the school they were playing at. The school they were playing at. Again,
school you're at on Saturday.
Okay.
In all seriousness, I believe that Tom Homo should demand for this staffer to be not a staffer any longer. If indeed that's the case. That is so inappropriate.
Well, also, it's like
amazing.
You can't privately record things going on in the locker room of any kind, whether it's strategy, hype video, whatever Tyler Batty's talking about,
or the 24-hour fitness,
whatever.
The locker room is off limits.
The locker room's off limits, but yeah, you can't be recording what people are saying. That seems pretty simple.
Listen, I am uncomfortable with how close we let passionate fans get to the whole operation. There are some people in the media that are passionate fans and are really close to the operation. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's just something we see. If you've got somebody who thinks that they're going to record that because they're going to drag BYU, that person has no business being there. You can't do your job, right?
Yep.
Or whatever. If it is a staffer, you can't do your job. Do you not know when the clock is punched and when it's not? And if you can't do that, you can't. There's a reason that having beers at work is frowned upon, because when you clock in and when you clock out, you're expected to be a professional and do your job.
It's a bad look. It was not the most flattering look from anybody from Arizona State, unfortunately. And I'm not trying to, again, undo what Kalani said, that of course everyone's having fun. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to be a, crybaby about any of this. Whatever. Teams, fans, whatever, behave poorly. But I thought Kenny Dillingham looked a little ridiculous in his last second thing when he was on the field yelling at the refs. I thought this is a bad look recording in the locker room. Obviously, these fans having to get arrested on the field wasn't a great look. It's unfortunate because they played a great game and had a great win, and the most important win they've had in a really long time. And it was a little bit spoiled by some of the behavior after the game.
I would tell the staffer you can either A, lose your job, or B, keep your job, but you have to play butts up in the racquetball court, with people smacking the... you got to be in there playing butts up for, 20 minutes.
That long?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a long time if you think about it. 20 minutes is a long time.
You don't want to talk about it? Remember that game?
Of course. Yeah. Bareback, you play it with ping pong.
Yeah.
You lose a point.
I feel like
turn around, they get to hit the ball at you.
You can really sting a racquetball. You know what I mean?
Butts up. I've never heard that term. I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah.
It's you got 20 minutes in the racquetball court. or you can go find a new gig. Yeah. I feel like that's justice. Oh, and they have to film it.
Then it gets released.
And then it gets released. Why am I not in charge of the world?
Why are you not a commissioner? Yeah, I don't know. It's amazing.
See, everybody would get behind that, though. Like, yeah, you can keep your job. You know, we're all allowed to be unprofessional once in a while, but God, you're going to come away with some bruises.
It's going to be hard to sit down for a while.
Yeah. It's just justice. Stay tuned. Speaking of justice, the Big 12 Power Poll is coming up next.
Our final subjective one, because I think after this week, we're going to know what it looks like.
Stay tuned.
No more guessing.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hockey fans, let your voice be heard this season with the Utah Hockey Fan Forum. Visit the Utah Hockey Club page on KSLSports.com to connect with the team, other fans, and our KSL Sports insiders. Start chatting today in the Utah Hockey Fan Forum on KSLSports.com.